The pick is in.
With the 17th pick, the Cincinnati Bengals select Shemar Stewart, edge Texas A&M. Let's bring in Locked On Cincinnati Bengals host Jake Lisco. Jake, was this the pick you expected at 17 and was the right one for the Bengals?
It was the pick that I expected today. It's not the pick that I expected yesterday. It's not the pick that I expected when the Arizona Cardinals were on the clock. But as soon as the Arizona Cardinals selected Walter Nolan, I thought that Shemar Stewart was next in line for the Cincinnati Bengals. I hoped for a Derek Harmon here. That was probably the favorite for me at that point in time. But I did expect that the Bengals would really like Shemar Stewart, and they did. And they took that bet.
Yeah. And for you think about Stewart and the fact that he recorded just 11 TFLs, 4.5 sacks in 3 seasons at A&M, but some still say his tape is better than his production. So how much do you buy into those thoughts about Shemar Stewart's upside?
I think there is upside. I think that he didn't complete his athletic testing. And if we would have seen him do those agility drills and had a real understanding of what his athleticism was, it would be a much clearer picture to say, yeah, you can bet on those athletic traits. Those guys that are true 1 of 1 or 1% of 1% athletes, and talking about NFL level athletes in the first place, those guys you can bet on traits. But the Bengals have recently bet on a traits guy in Myles Murphy, and that was 10 plus picks later in the draft at the end of the first round. And they're still waiting to see if Myles Murphy is going to come around. And so when we see players that have this kind of production profile coming out of college, and you also see the skip in agility testing, yeah, the straight line athleticism is great. The 40 is awesome. The 10-yard split is awesome. The jumps were awesome. The hurries, he's leads Texas A&M in pressures, but then the finishing isn't there. The missed tackles racked up for Shemar Stewart. And that's also true of Derek Harmon. So that's the guy that I wanted, another tackling issue. But the Bengals are counting on the fact that they're going to be able to get him to be a better finisher than he was in college. And there was a long track record for Stewart in college of not being able to finish those plays. There was a big step up in run defense, at least in his final year at A&M, but it is a bet. And so there's obviously a chance that he hits that upside. I hope he does for the sake of the Bengals. I think that would be a necessary piece for their defense. When you're taking a defensive player at 17, you hope he can be a cornerstone for you. Yeah. And we'll see if that bet pays out.
And I was thinking about that too, Jake, because this is one of those quirky divisions where it's very difficult for a team to think about how they're going to get out of the division. When we look at last year, for example, it seemed like it was going to be the Steelers until it wasn't. Then it was obviously the Ravens, but the Bengals were right there, and we just kind of never know what the Browns are going to be. But that said, Shemar Stewart's going to have to face Lamar Jackson and then whomever the Steelers and Browns put on the field under center multiple times this coming season. How much does Stewart help the Bengals to move the needle for their ability to contain Jackson and also to really get back to the top of the division?
They hope that it gives them some help to be a contain edge. They hope that his size plays up. They hope that the run defense improvements that he showed in his most recent year at A&M can translate to the NFL and continue to trend in that direction. He's still a young player. There's still room for development there. And obviously, like I said, the straight line traits and the strength are there for Stewart. It's a matter of developing his football sense, his understanding of what teams are trying to do to him, and his ability to find the ball on the field. And on top of that, find ways to finish plays. And part of that is being able to anticipate what's coming. And the game needs to slow down for him a little bit, I think. But with all those traits, that's clearly what the team is banking on here. Again, not a pick that I would have probably made personally, but I'm not in the Bengals front office, obviously. And so we'll hope that the traits work out, looking at it from the outside, looking in for the Bengals, and that those production questions don't persist into the NFL.
Indeed. Appreciate the time, Jake, and for continuing coverage of the Bengals. Subscribe to Locked On Bengals wherever you get your podcasts.